Orgone energy is that's the term that was discovered by the late Dr. Wilhelm Reich back in the 1930s, 1940s, and it is basically the energy that is in life in general, in all living things. Now, this has been a scientific discovery. When Reich came across this discovery, he had to create certain kinds of equipment in order to detect this energy. It's very similar and has a component to it that is considered bioelectric in nature. So there's an electrical component to it, but it's something more. It's like a complex field, and this field can be observed and it can be seen. Reich did a couple of tests early on, creating something called accumulators. Now, these were chambers or boxes, and these boxes were composed with layers of metal and non-metal. Now, the non-metal part had to have an organic or carbon component to it. So when you layered the walls of this box with these layers, he observed a change in temperature from the outside and what was inside the box. And he did more observations. And one of them was this, what he called orgone energy. And this is like a vital force. It's something that is in all life. And he did tests such as put samples of blood inside these chambers, compared to samples of blood outside the chamber.
And you could see it too, right? If you put it under a microscope, you could see a blue, like it's almost like an aura, like it's a field, an energy field that's visible around a blood cell.
Yeah, and it's the thing that allows and invigorates, keeps things more invigorated and gives it energy, like more life energy. So the technology has moved on since Reich, and the orgone products that you see out there are kind of the offshoot from this research.
So basically, I just want to say that, so Wilhelm Reich started the whole thing.
Right.
Many people have developed it since then. And what we're talking about is the ability to observe the life force around everything in nature, around people, around plants and animals, and the life force in the air. So it's part of the world we live in creation, right?
That's right.
It's just observing it. And this is a science. And the technology is basically taking components that you put together that create an effect that you can measure. There's been tests that have been done with blood cells where they take blood cells and they can measure the effect that orgone energy has on blood cells. So in a lot of ways, it's like it keeps your youth, it keeps the life force around something, so it stops things from decaying.
Right.
So it stops the body from decaying and the blood from decaying, but it also preserves food and stops food from decaying.
That's right.
So these are the scientific elements that we're talking about here when it comes to orgone technology. Also, there's another presentation out there that that has been done by Organize Africa, which is another group, and they show all different kinds of tests and studies that have been done as far as the environment, as far as, because you can take orgone energy and you can create weather effects with it.
Of all these, what 5G can do because of its raised frequency and the size of the wavelength. And now with the scientists who are also on board with investigating the full effects of electromagnetic radiation, there have been plenty of studies since 4G on the effects of these microwave frequencies on human beings. And it's well known that wireless radiation can cause cancer, neurological problems, reproductive harm, and immune system problems. What is also known is that microwave radiation causes dramatic changes to living cells without the need to first heat the cell, like in a microwave oven. Another way that the FCC and all these regulators are getting around the whole problem of the effects of microwaves is they're saying it's not a problem unless there's this thermal effect. I mean, that you need to heat something like you would in a microwave before it becomes a problem. And what these scientists who are actually forming these action groups or activist groups against this have shown is that when they do their research, obviously microwaves cause a lot of damage and changes to living cells before they even reach any kind of change in temperature. Living tissues are hammered, around 2 billion times a second. But at this frequency, the cell's functioning and ability to repair itself is impaired. we have electrical bodies, and it's from this current platform that these studies were performed, with 4G. But now 5G will make it possible to bombard living cells with over 90 billion times a second. And the real problem here is that it's being fast-tracked without any kind of caution. An increased chance of getting cancer by a factor of 3 to 5 times, and that's with the current towers. Orgonite is a composite, and basically this compound is able to take the stray, harmful electric fields in the environment and turn it into something that is healthy. Now, we're very sensitive to electrosmog, to Wi-Fi, all these different forms of electricity in the air, and that's why we started to make Orgonite. Orgonite pyramids are good to grid your property with, so that you can not only transform the fields coming from Wi-Fi like 5G, but also from the harmful effects of chemtrails that come down on top of your home and your neighborhood. The secret is in the orgone energy field that these create, that can be scientifically measured. Orgonite is used to combat the harmful effects that's coming from wireless technology, from the Wi-Fi, from 5G, from the television screen, and from radio. Orgonite is a special material of metal powders, all encased in an epoxy resin, that is able to take the stray fields in the environment and turn it into healthy, beneficial energy around your home, around your family, and in the neighborhood.